Hello everyone, welcome to Trend Talks. Today I have the pleasure to speak with Etienne Lecompte. He is the CEO and founder of PowerHub, a company providing renewable energy asset management services. Etienne is a regular visitor, visionary speaker and very valuable speaker at our Solar Plaza conferences. Welcome Etienne.
Welcome Edwin, thanks for having me.
Now, great to have you all the way from Canada. Etienne, these are challenging times. What does this crisis, this COVID, starting as a COVID crisis, now also turning into a kind of an economic crisis, what does it mean for asset management? What can you say about that?
I think we've seen a wide variety of responses from our clients. Fortunately, most of our clients have been resilient enough and haven't had too many troubles. We've seen people reducing the number of hours worked to keep fully staff employed and so on. On our side, we were fortunate enough to actually keep hiring a little bit during the crisis, so we got some great talent. But fundamentally, what it means for asset management is you really need to be on top of every little thing. Before you could say, well, I'll just send somebody to site, or I'll just meet the landlord, or I'll just take little actions that cover process gaps or cover information gaps. So the level of diligence and acuteness in asset management now is even more important because the world has changed and how you interact with counterparties has changed. So that's the main thing that we've been noticing.
So that means I would translate that into a positive for your business and your products, right?
Exactly, Edwin. I think we've seen kind of a marked increase in interest and people looking at, okay, we've been leaving this on the back burner because we're all in the office together and I can just walk over to John's office to discuss the matter, whereas having information centralized in one place now is even more valuable than it was, so that people can do their work independently of one another, make sure they're on top of things, and actually collaborate in a seamless way. So yes, definitely.
If you look at let's keep focused on the solar asset management. What do you see as the challenges looking forward to 2021?
Well, there's going to be a challenge with regards to if and when certain aspects haven't been met. I think it's on the portfolio growing for a lot of companies. I think people have been building a pipeline that need to keep building. So we'll have actually a gap in the pipeline of certain companies. Not everybody. Some people have been fortunate enough to be very well funded pre-crisis and so on. So they'll have actually a bit more runway. Other companies are going to have some gaps in their portfolio or gaps in their structure as they move forward. And then there's going to be actually looking at the underlying assets themselves. And I think some companies are really looking on how they're working and how they can interact with one another to make sure that they can keep scaling. So I think the problems are going to be different. If you're a small company or a very large company, you're going to have different problems. But I think a lot of companies are going to look at how they approach business in light of this once we get out.
Yeah, and in these challenges that you're describing in the pipeline, are these related mostly to the financing of these new projects?
So from what I've been hearing from our clients, it's mostly a lot of counties or regions, you just couldn't get permits anymore, as an example, right? So if you can't, so lots of delays in construction, in certain instances, delays in permitting, it just delays the whole queue. So I don't think it's so much financing as the rest of the project realities that need to be fairly well executed in a fairly tight timeline. I don't know how many people looked at their force majeure clauses over the last few months, but I think that's been a surge that's been going on a lot.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, that would be an interesting topic for another Trend Talk. And if you look at the current crisis, do you see other trends that are evolving from this crisis? There is this saying, never waste a good crisis. Do you see new trends coming up, emerging?
I think there's an opportunity some people we've seen with kind of a stronger balance sheet position, making investments during the crisis, either in people. I think that's one of the things that we've seen. Gathering up good talent when things are a bit more uncertain is a surefire way to go. but also investing in earlier stage projects and things. So that pipeline disruption that I was talking about, some people are going to say, well, I need to now get in a bit earlier, or I need to be much more aggressive later if other players are not ready to make investments today. Maybe I take a riskier position in some cases to kind of fill that gap. So I think we'll see companies review where they add value in the pipeline. And I think that's really the interesting part from an asset management standpoint is asset managers asking themselves, where do I add value? Is it by scrutinizing my O&M provider? Maybe, maybe not. Is it by structuring finance around a project? How do I add value? So I think we'll see more and more companies really asking that question. And I think that's going to be the really interesting evolution of 2021.
Yeah, maybe some other trends, please react. The topic of repowering and hybridization of plants, is that something that you see happening?
Hybridization, definitely. We're fortunate to work. We have a client with it. They have a joint wind solar storage project. So that creates some challenges on the data flows and things like that, but that's really the future. I am a fundamental believer that your point of interconnection is an incredibly valuable asset in itself. So how you maximize the value around your point of interconnection through hybridization, repowering, additional technologies on board, I think that's really going to be the name of the game, because that's how you can increase the value of your portfolio.
Do you see that impact the business, the portfolios that are out there right now in a huge way in the coming year already, the coming 2 years? Or is there a different trend that is now the main driver for this market?
I think it depends on the age of the assets, ultimately. If you're looking at older assets, let's say in Italy and so on, we see more repowering over there as kind of because the investment thesis just works. Whereas I think we're seeing on the greenfield side, hybridization or mixed project, integration of storage, really being considered from the get-go, from the onset of a project, because we don't know, or they don't know exactly where and how they're going to make money off this project. So they have to keep options open. And on top of that, you have incentive programs in certain jurisdictions that encourage the adoption of storage, as an example, as part of the project. So that obviously always spurs adoption a little bit crazy, but more. So I think we'll keep seeing both, Edwin. I think we'll see a lot of repowering on the older asset side and hybridization on the newer assets. And in between, it really depends on how the economics are going to dictate that for people.
All right. Well, thanks for this positive note at the end. And thank you very much for this interview, Etienne. I wish you all the best with your business in the coming year, period.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Always a pleasure to be part of something of Solar Plaza. Have a great day. Bye-bye.